Hi, this session is called Forming Advanced Answer Keys. My name is Michael Meehan, and I am a social studies educator in Wake County Public School Systems. In this session, our goals are to become familiar with Google Forms, to create a customized Google form with the following features: response validation, descriptions, an answer key feature that has feedback, and confirmation messages. The first feature we're going to look at is called response validation. Response validation is a great way to allow students to do activities individually or as a group, working independently from the teacher. With this feature, students will not be able to proceed through the Google form until they have the answer correct. An example of this is from a lesson that I did on the lost colony. I have used response validation for each of these questions, and the students have to get each of these correct in order to hit submit. So you see right here, all the answers are correct except for this one right here. Let's say the student writes down something that is incorrect, and then they hit submit. It will prevent them from submitting the Google form, and it will tell them to try again. It will not be able to proceed until that answer is correct. So, how do we do this? To start, we're going to open up a new Google form. You can get the Google form by hitting the waffle and then going to Forms, or you can simply hit form.new in your search bar. We're going to label our form as form. To start, we're going to hit our settings tab. We're going to make sure this is set to a quiz. The response validation feature does not work unless you have the quiz feature toggled. We'll go back to our questions. And the first question is always automatically set to a multiple choice. We're going to change this to short answer. Now, we are going to hit the three little dots in the bottom right, and we're going to hit response validation. This will pop up with what you want your answer to be. So we'll type in a question. Who did the U.S. gain independence from? Since I'm a history teacher, we learn about the American Revolution, and I think this is something that I really want the students to get. So you'll hit text instead of number, contains, and the answer that we want is Britain. And if they get that wrong, we can always say, try again. Now, we can go out and we can look and see how this would look for a student. So who did the U.S. gain independence from? I don't know. And it will prevent them from turning in the form until they have the correct answer. This can also be done for numbers. Let's say you are a math teacher. You're going to change it to short answer and hit the three little dots at the bottom, and we're going to select response validation. What is 9 times 9? And we want it to be number. We want it to be equal to, the number is 81. And you can do your custom error message again. And we can go out and we can see how it would look for a student. 9 times 9 is 72. Submit. Nope, it will not let them submit until they have the correct answer in there. And once again, this one right here will also need to be selected too. That is a good way to make sure students get the right answer before moving on. This is called the response validation feature. The next feature we're going to look at is the description feature. Under each question, you have the option to add a short description to help your students understand how to answer the question. Maybe it gives them a hint on what they can look at or reference to as they answer. So going back to the example we looked at earlier, you see under each of these questions, I have a description, and that is helping the students know to put their letter in all caps because I use the response validation feature, and it's 5 letters long, or maybe it's 3 letters long, or maybe this one is a number. So how do we do this? Going to your Google form, whenever you are editing your question, you will hit the 3 little dots, just like you did for the response validation, and this time you're going to select description. You see the description appears right underneath the question. So for this question, who did the U.S. gain independence from? We can say, use your notes from yesterday. This is on slide 2. Maybe your question, your quiz is an open book quiz. Maybe they are allowed to reference. The next question, what is 9 times 9? Once again, hit the 3 little dots, hit description. And maybe we want to remind them that they can use a calculator for this one. Or maybe they cannot use a calculator for this one. Next question, provide a summary of chapter 4, pages 43 through 56. Now, as an English teacher, maybe you really want them to include in-text citations. You want them to include that in there. So this is a great way to provide that reminder for them. Maybe you are a science teacher and you want them to describe the photosynthesis process. Hit the 3 little dots, hit description, and you're going to tell them your answer should be at least 3 sentences long. This provides them with a little extra information on how to answer the question. The feature we're going to look at is called the answer key feature. And this is especially helpful whenever students are able to take a quiz multiple times. You can provide a feedback for when they get it wrong. You can also provide feedback for when they get it right, but this is especially useful whenever they get it wrong. So here's what it would look like on the student's end. After they hit submit on the Google form, they have the option to click view score. So they can click view score, and you can see in this first one, I got it wrong. And the feedback that I added was, oops, that isn't correct. Go back to the reading and try again. So the student will be able to click the link that I included, and it would direct them to a reading where they can find the answer. So when they go back to answer it, hopefully they have read about this question and they found the answer in this Google Doc. So how do we do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Google form, and we're going to make sure on our settings that it is still linked to quiz. And you also want to make sure in responses that students can take this many times, more than one time. If it is linked like this, that means it is limited to 1. In that case, providing feedback would not be as beneficial if they were able to take it multiple times. So now that we have those 2 things checked off on our question, it is easier to do this in a form of a multiple choice question. So we'll keep the same question. Who did the U.S. gain independence from? We're going to say Britain, and we'll say France, and we'll say Spain. And below that, there's a button that says answer key. We're going to click that. We're going to make sure we click the answer. It's Britain. And you're going to click where it says add answer feedback. Now here's where you can add feedback for incorrect answers as well as correct answers. We're going to focus on both. We'll do both of these, but focus more so on the incorrect answers. So what I want them, if they get it wrong, I actually want to include a link. And this link is going to be to a video from YouTube that they can watch to hopefully get them the answers. And the text, I'll say click to play. And my feedback will be very simple, try again. I'll hit add. Now you can also add feedback for correct answers. We'll say, awesome job. You can click save. And then here's what it would look like on a student end. Let's say we click France. I'll hit submit, hit view score, and I can see right here I got it wrong. And the feedback says, oops, try again. And I can click this link and it'll take me to a video on the American Revolution. So now let's see if I got it correct. We can go back, we can try it again. And if I hit Britain, hit submit, I can see, hit view score, I got it correct. Awesome job. It's always nice to have that kind of feedback too. I think this would be especially useful if a teacher records themselves reteaching something. Maybe instead of having a YouTube video, maybe you want to include a short little video on yourself for the kids to rewatch again. Maybe if they get it correct, you could add a GIF that they go to of someone celebrating. This is a very handy trick, especially when the students are allowed to take the quiz multiple times. The last feature we're going to look at is confirmation messages on a Google form. So a confirmation message is what the students would see after they complete the Google form. So before we start, I'll show you what it looks like from a student's end. On this assignment, students were filling out questions on the lost colony, and after they were done, they would hit submit, and this right here is a confirmation message. This lesson was used during virtual learning, and this was the very first part of the lesson. So after students finished this Google form, I added a message here that directed them to a Google Meet link. Now, you could use this for anything that you want. It could be to direct them to do a different assignment. It could be to direct them into a breakout room. It could simply say, awesome job, you're all done. So how do we do this? So in our Google form, we'll go to settings and we'll scroll down to where you see presentation and we'll open up that section. Here's where you see confirmation message. Hit the word edit and you can record your response here. Awesome job with this lesson. You can end it as that and be very simple with it, or you could also direct them to a new task. Now you will need to complete this assignment. And I'll paste in a link there. I'll hit save, and this is how it will appear. So we can go back to see how it would look on a student's end, and we know the answer to that is Britain. Hit submit. Awesome job with this lesson. Now you need to complete this assignment. And here is the link that I included for them, and it is an extension activity to the Lost Colony.